What else? I live on a 652 acre farm, but I also own another 100-acre plot way out in the woods in this back swamp, and that's my bug out cabin. And the only way you can get to it is by boat, by canoe or skiff or something on that order. It's on this backwater Blackjack area. I raise most of my own food. A lot of people, because I enjoy talking with preppers and survivalists because they like self-sufficiency, and I believe that self-sufficient people, truly self-sufficient people, not people who go to the store and buy lots of food, but people who raise their own food, or at least part of their own food, have a stronger connection to the natural world. You learn the ins and outs of how nature works. You learn how you work, because a lot of us just think, just eat the food, And it's like, no, there's a lot more to it than that. Your body works better if it knows where its food comes from. So I really enjoy talking with preppers and survivalists, but I don't consider myself a prepper or a survivalist. And the main reason is because I'm not looking at the future and being very frightened of it. I don't want to say being very frightened, but I'm not looking at the future and saying I'm going to prepare for something bad that happens in the future. I didn't mean to say you were frightened. I meant to say you're preparing for something to happen in the future. And I don't do that. I like to be self-sufficient because I'm cheap, and it's cheaper to be self-sufficient or as self-sufficient as possible. Obviously, nobody is 100%, but as self-sufficient as possible than it is to have to go and buy your food and buy your clothing and buy your shelter and buy your electricity. It's a lot cheaper to be able to just make it all yourself. But the other reason is because I have an aversion to giving my money to people I don't like. And a lot of the people I would not like, though I have never personally met them, are people who own electrical companies and people who own big oil companies and people who own big agricultural companies. So the more I can keep my money away from them, and the more I can teach other people to keep their money away from them, the less power they have and the more power we have. We cannot be free if we are addicted to something else somebody has to sell us. So that's why I try to be as self-sufficient as possible, because I don't want to be owned by anyone. I would like to be owned by as few people as possible. Obviously, I still have a job. I drive to it, so I have a vehicle that runs on gasoline. So I give my money to the oil companies, bad people. And while I make a lot of my own clothes, I also buy some of my clothes too. I do try to make sure I'm not buying my clothes from people who make them in factories, sweatshops or like that. I do try to buy most of my clothes that way. I also buy a lot of my clothes used from secondhand shops. So basically, I'm not going to be your kind of pagan that's going to run around dressed like Stevie Nicks or like some goth punk. Those are perfectly acceptable ways of seeking out your religion. I'm just saying that's not me. The only way you can find your power is to find your power, is to be you. I can't be you. No one can be you. That's why I'm not big on, this is nothing, I'm not big on gurus or teachers for spirituality, because only you can be you, and only by being you can you be spiritual, because that's the only connection there is. Whether you're got a personal relationship with Jesus Christ as a Christian, or a personal relationship with Allah or Jehovah or Gaia, it has to be a personal relationship, a relationship for you to have. And you can't go to somebody else and have them teach you that. In fact, I just had, I teach at an outdoor education, just started this last winter, teaching at an outdoor education center. I'm actually co-owner of the center. And I meet a lot of people who will come in and say, well, I was watching a lot of pagans or earth-based spirituality that said, I was watching this video or I was reading this book and they said this. And I'm like, well, what do you feel? Because that's the only thing that matters, really, when it comes to seeking spirituality. But I'm not that way. You will usually see me in jeans. A lot of times you'll see me in bare feet. They're pretty filthy today because I've been working down working down in the swamps. I actually went down to the swamps, gathered up some wild medicinals. But so I tend not to surround myself with crystals and all these other, woo, look at, here's all my spirituality. My spirituality comes from here, not from any props that I may have. Though I am sitting in front of a fire. It's a fire. But that's because, despite the fact it's March 30th, and we have had days that have been above, we had an almost 90-degree day in March. Today, or this evening, it's going to get below freezing. So just in case you thought Old Man Winter had let go, not here in Wisconsin. We certainly don't let go quite that. He certainly doesn't let go quite that easy. So I started the fire, and when I was looking at it, I thought, hey, that's a good place to sit and do a video. So that's what I did. But I'm more of a, and I don't want to say the word practical as in, because that makes, then I'm saying other people aren't practical, but being a pagan for me means the connection I have with nature. So that means, how does nature, how can I feed myself through nature? How can I house myself through nature? How can I keep myself warm in the winter, cool in the summer through nature? I don't walk on the path. I have a tendency of not being on paths. I have a tendency of kind of gliding my way through the back country, where there are no paths, where you break your own path. And I've always been really big on that for everybody, because I'll meet people who so want somebody else to hand them their spirituality. Please teach me how to be spiritual. And it's like, you are. You are spiritual. We all are spiritual. You just have to find your connection. And yeah, it takes a little work. But you can't get it by going to someone else. You'll never get it by going to someone else. You may get a little feel-good thing going every now and then, but you'll never get who you are by asking someone else to show you. We can learn from each other. Oh my goodness, can we learn from each other? And I just love to learn from people. But your spirituality has to come from you. And no great guru can give you one. Only you can do that. And oh, that's me lecturing. Huh, I just got lecturing. But anyway, I don't do many videos of look at my face because, well, A, I don't care, and B, I know what I look like, so I don't need to see myself, and B, I like to do more how-to, hands-on kind of videos. So you'll probably see my hands a lot. I wear my watch. I'm left-handed, so I wear my watch on my right hand, and on my left hand, and this is the hand that you see the most, is my ID bracelet. It has some tracks, animal tracks on it. This is it's got my ID on the back, on the inside, just in case. And let's see. So that's what you'll see mostly. You probably won't see a whole lot of my face, but this is not my first time on YouTube, and I never did any pictures of my face. And a lot of people made a lot of comments about that. I only do YouTube when I feel like it. I am not addicted to the internet, so there may be times that I just do video after video after video, and then there may be times where it may be a couple months that I don't do a video. That's just because something else has called me away. Perhaps I got called into the backwaters, or perhaps I got called out to the school, or perhaps we're working on the community garden or my own gardens. I can get called away and almost lose track of time, and all of a sudden I realize it's a couple months later. And so I'm not always, it's not going to be this great every day or twice a week or whatever video. But anyway, that's it. I'm hoping mainly to do you know, how I find my spiritual connection. I may not say this is how I find my spiritual connection, but if I'm showing it as a video, to me it's a way of being a witch. It's a way of building my connection to the natural world, whether it be through medicinal plants or wild edible plants, or milking my own cows, or raising my own garden. Some people say agricultural is not living with the wild. Well, it is here, because I have to worry about diseases. We have a lot of predators here. I live with wolves and bears and bobcat right out the back door. So I do have, you know, I working in agriculture here on this level, on my level, not on, I'm not paid to Monsanto and all that. I won't do that. But, you know, I have to work with the natural process of things. I have a compost pile, and many compost piles actually, and you know, everything has to come from the natural process, and I can't step out of it. I may be able to harness nature the way I want it to grow this year, but I still have to work within nature. I can't step out of that. So that is how I hope to show my religion, is just by doing videos that show my connection. And even though I may not say, this is how I'm connected to the world, just by showing it, that is how I'm connected. So that's me in an extremely long nutshell. So I hope to meet more people and get to know people, and can't think of anything else to say, so I guess I'll be leaving you and saying it's very nice to meet you, and I hope that even if you're on the path and I'm in the wilderness, we can kind of see each other through the trees a little bit. So it's good to meet you all, and we'll get started here.